Well, morning boys and girls. After yesterday's excitement on the South Beach, I thought I'd try something a bit different. It can get a bit boring catching them little whitings and dabs, so I thought I'd come and do a bit of piking. I just come down Rollesby Broad, and that's the first time I've done any piking here in probably another couple of decades. The last I went piking was about 15 years ago at Beccles. You've got loads of jacks but nothing any size. I thought I'd just come down here, and that's lovely at the minute. The wind's northeasterly, so it's blowing straight over my back. It ain't raining, just a little bit of drizzle. So I thought I'd come down here for a few hours. That looked absolutely stunning, doesn't it? It's nice to see plenty of bird life on here again. Last time I come up here, there's hardly nothing. Loads of bird life. Even you can see it over there. See, even there's a heron there, trying to catch his dinner. As everyone knows, the first thing you do is set up your landing net. We've all been there, carp fishing especially, getting all the rods together, cast out, bait up, blah 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 blah, add a run, and we ain't got the landing net set up. So that's the first thing you do, set up your landing net. Well, I went to go and get my carp landing net, and unfortunately when I left my carp syndicate about 6-7 years ago, some lovely person had stolen the bloody top net off my Century landing net. And they're quite expensive to replace. I think they want 90 quid just for the head, but they are very good quality landing net. But when you're pike fishing, that's a bit different. I'm not sticking trebles anywhere near my Century landing net, not in a million years. So I went the other day and bought this little cheapy landing net, NGT thing, 2 floats, 42 inch with the handle, 27 quid delivered. Can't go wrong, can you? I don't care if trebles go for it all day. Well, as always, I pulled out my old school pike angling box. That's donkey's years old. I inherited that off my granddad. That's got an all manner and old school stuff in it. Even things like, he made these from scratch years ago, bless him. He loved making things. I think he just done it to keep himself busy. But they're all caught fish. There's some right old school stuff in here. I haven't seen them in a while, have you? Put a bit of blue tack in them and everything. There's all manner of things. Stuff he made, and I caught pike on them. You ain't really got to overcomplicate things, but that's right old school stuff, that is. But today I'm just doing something simple. Just going to go using the old basic floats. I made up some new gear yesterday. Some of the old stuff, the wire was all tangled and twisted, so it doesn't take long just to crimp up some new end tack will do it. Doesn't take no time at all. Just going to start off with one of these stops. Do people even use them anymore? Do they even exist, these little taper stops? I think they're brilliant little things. I haven't seen it in years. If they're gone out of fashion with carp fishing, they seem to vanish off the face of the planet. But they're great little items, they are. Easy to move, easy peasy. Well, if you look there, it's all very simple. Just a little pike bung. That's a brand new one. Pike bung, snap tackle, your wire trace. Well, I like to have a single hook and the treble. I use half a heron, so the front half I put the single hook for his head, and then the treble for his body. And if I'm using the tail end, I put the single hook through the root of the tail, and then the treble in the flank. I don't like to use 2 trebles. That's a lot of hooks, and you don't really need it nowadays. That make unhooking a lot easier, because most of the time this single hook is buried in the fish, so you only need the single treble. All basic stuff really. I haven't used wire traces in a long while. Well, I made these up last night because all my old ones were tatty. Ain't worth risking it with kinked wire traces from yesteryear. Just make some new ones up. Well, no surprises there. Bait wise is obviously heron. I just got a pack of 3 out of the freezer this morning, but I still had 1 heron left over from last night. So I'll just cut that in half, and I'll put half on each rod. That'll do me. Oh look, see there. Someone's been fishing down here and left a lure behind. But yeah, I'll get this heron baited up and I'll get it out. See, look, easily going to bait it up. That's about right. So just stick the hook through the root of the tail, through the bone, and then just stick the treble in the side. Look at that, perfect. See that single hook is virtually buried, a little bit of a point, but that's really, as it's gone through the bone in the root of the tail, that ain't going anywhere, so all the cast and pressure's taken on that. Perfect, isn't it? I'd eat it. That's only been out about 3 or 4 minutes and that started bobbing down already. I don't have the little tiny jack playing with it, but I just struck and moved it and there weren't nothing there, but someone's definitely playing with it. Well, I just wound that rod in, that's only been out 10 minutes. So that bobbed down and moved about, and you can see someone's had a go at it there. So there's probably a little jack or something buggering about, but it didn't take the hook. But I think I'll cast it back out and see how I get on. Well, I just baited up the head. You see the single hooks in the head and the trebles in the flank of the fish. We'll now get this out. Let's see if we can get a tasty pike on that one too. I think the Broads now are mainly full of jacks. I think the otters are at the big ones, but we still have a good day's sport down here. Well, as you can see, I'm fishing old school. I didn't bother even bringing a pod. I sort of just stick my rods on my bag and my box and jobs are good. And the floats are sitting out there nicely. But yeah, it's nice to have a bit of old school now and then. I've got a pod just sitting in the garage somewhere. But I thought a bit more relaxing fishing today, no faffing about. Well, I had to laugh. At my own old syndicate I was on, they provided unhooking mats, so I didn't ever use mine. Well, I just undone it. It's all gone a bit old and wrinkly and delaminated a bit. And I forgot I even had that wasteling in there. It's looking a bit old and crusty. But that doesn't matter, that'll do the job, won't it? Call it more wrinkly in your hand, doesn't it? Well, to the left here, behind the trees, the old bridge. There's a channel that flow out. Obviously water flow through the bridge. Before they'd done all that crap years ago and put the barriers in, water flow under the bridge and flow out here. There's a deeper channel. So I just set the gear for 5 foot, cast there, that slowly, with the flow, drift round. So you're covering a bit of area. But you always used to get a food pike years ago in that channel. That's nice to do a bit of movement, you're covering a bit of area. And that other float is just sitting out there. Well, after seeing that left hand rod, the old pike bung bobbed down a couple of times straight away after about a few minutes of casting out. I thought I'd have a quick jack, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Bait's been at about half hour now. I have recast the left hand rod back in the channel and let it drift out again to cover a bit of area. That's just lovely being down here, listening to bird life in this lovely flat calm. Can't get much better than this. That'd make a nice change from sea fishing. But I haven't used these carp rods in a long while, and they seem ever so light compared to sea rods, don't they? They weigh hardly nothing. Alright, you know, big pits are a bit heavy, but the rods, cool, they don't weigh nothing, do they really? But it's just lovely to be down here, innit? Smashing. A little bit of drizzle, but ain't too bad. I can live with that. There must be a fair amount of bait fish here. See that grebe? There's a couple of grebes working this area. So obviously there's shoals of rudd, I'd gather here. But I'm working here all morning, so hopefully be a few pike following them. There used to be some smashing pike at Rollesby years ago. I caught my second pike I ever caught here from this actual spot. I was about 15, I think, 14. That's 21.5 pound. That's a lovely fish. I've still got the scar on my hand to prove it. But this used to be full of lovely cracking big pike in here. The biggest one I ever saw come out here was 36, and that was a lovely fish. But unfortunately our little furry friends, the otters, the long sharp teeth, has really diminished them. This place used to be full of bream as well. There's hardly any bream now. There's a few tench still in here. They're done alright because the otters struggled to catch them. They lay low in the mud. But the pike really took a thack in here. There's hardly any pike in here now. They're all small stuff. But you can still have a good bit of fun here. I ain't fished here for pike and donkey's years, but used to have a good fun years ago. Get up to like 5 or 6 pike in the morning. You can live with that, can't you? I think the best day I ever done it, I think I had 12 fish in the morning, fishing down here, up to about 17 and a half. And one had a big hole in the side that had been eaten by another pike and ripped a chunk out. You can see all this liver and everything. That surprised me. But that seemed lively enough, and that's obviously still feeding. So it may be tougher than what we think. Well, I've been there a couple of hours now and it all seemed very quiet. So you cast that float you can see back out again. Cast it out to the left there, and that's gradually trickling to the right with the drift there. But ever since that first cast within a few minutes, me being here and that bobbed down a couple of times, I ain't seen nothing since. And then the other float, I don't know where you can see it. You can see it very well in the light. No, I don't think you'll see that. But ayo, that's just nice to be here really. There's half a dozen cormorants drying themselves out on the old yacht. More ones there. But yeah, there have been a lot of fish, I've got to admit. It's been very quiet. I just zoomed in, you should roughly be able to see my distant float right in the centre there. Well, I'm sort of like getting to travel a good distance and cover a bit more area. Every 5 minutes I'm flicking out a rod length of line and that's slowly drifting further and further out in the wind, just to cover a bit more area really, because if you ain't getting any fish just sitting there, you got to do something about it, and you covering more area sometimes help. That's only fishing 5 foot deep, so it ain't on the bottom. There's quite a bit of weed out here, or there was a lot of weed a few weeks ago. It's probably dead, a lot of it now, but I don't be dragging through that. So I was fishing 5 foot deep and slowly drifting out in the wind, covering a lot more area. Let go over a pike's head, then hopefully that'll lift up and get it. But that is very high pressure at the minute, and we all know fishing ain't very good with high pressure, is it? The fish bloody hate it. I don't know how you can see that, but I just drifted it out to about 70 yards and there's an oil spot just appeared behind it. So something must have disturbed it or been there. I ain't seen the float move at all, but that oil spot behind it looked pretty good, didn't it? Something's definitely disturbed it one way or another. I'm hoping that float's going to nod down in a minute. I think it might be wishful thinking, but that'd be nice, wouldn't it? I don't know what's going on, but that left hand rod, the float just sailed away. Let's see that. There's knocking down. Something's hitting it. Oh, we're in. Oh, and it's dropped it. Let it go. Bugger. Well, wasn't that frustrating? I thought I was going to get one then. I didn't seem to pick up the bait properly. That dropped it. Bumholes. There you go. That's life. Whatever it is back again. That float just dipped another couple of times. I don't know if it's a tiny little jack or something, but can't get the bait in its mouth. That's frustrating. Go on, you bugger. Go down. You can but hope, but yeah, keep getting the odd knock on it. And I've struck a couple of times, but it's never really been nothing positive there. Well, after about 3 hours of being here, the only action I've seen is to the left here, so I brought both rods in tight. See, look, there's one float there, and that's the other float. They're about 3-4 rod lengths apart. But I think that must be a small jack there. Just several times I had to pull the float down and I've struck and that's been nothing there. I felt a little bit of weight and then that's vanished again. But I don't think that's taken the fish bait properly. It's only half a herring, it ain't a huge bait, so any sort of fish of any stamp should easily take that down. But it doesn't seem to be. Very frustrating. When I was rolling around here in the summer, I did notice there was a lot of jack pike, about a foot long, 18 inches long, only little old things. Well, they could, something like that could pull down these floats. You think there's something there, and it can't handle the bait, can it? I just picking up the end of the bait. So one of us that, because they were tiny little jacks I saw. I'd really like to fish further into that bay, but I can't cast it. If I whack it too hard, I'm just going to rip the bait off. But I know this bit here is really shallow, because we used to wade it there and swim in it as kids. But look what I've got, trusty chest waders. They're now going on. Well, I'll call this Operation Try or Die, should I? But I know one thing, I've got a pinprick hole in these chest waders. That's a certain. One of my knees is feeling a bit damp. But I've got it where I want it. I've got it well in the bay now, cover a bit more area. That's one perk for having a van with loads of crap in it. Well, I finally hooked one. Unbelievable. It's nice to see. Amazing that you can fish somewhere for ages, cast it out and get within a few minutes. Christened a brand new keep net, landing net. I don't think it's that big. That's just nice to get one in it. Yeah, it's a new little jack. Done and dusted her in the net. Well, I'm just going to leave the pike in the landing net for a minute, just while I get everything else sorted, get the unhooking mat out and everything. There's no point in stressing the fish out. Leave it, let it settle, let it recover. That's all you need to do. Well, that's now time to get the water. Got a feisty. That's only a small fish, but it's better than nothing, isn't it? I'm happy with that. First pike in 10 years. It's a bit mad. Best thing we do, get it back. Happy days. Well, it's time for a little wade again. I probably could reach the spot, but if I whack it too hard, I'm just going to move the hooks in the bait. I ain't got no copper wire to wire the baits up, so I'm going to have to wade out there and get it right. There's no point in hammering it, because all you do is tear the hooks out of the bait and cause problems. Hooks bury up and everything, and they don't hook fish properly. Well, that's sitting in a lovely position. Without wading out there, the only way I'll get that out there was with a bait boot. I have got a bait boot, but I left it at home. I've never used a bait boot pike fishing, but it is another string to the bow, isn't it? But I like where that's sitting lovely. I'm now going to rebait the other rod. Just so you know, that pike was hooked by the single hook, that wasn't hooked by the treble. So that was obviously the root where the single hook was through the root of the tail. That's where it nailed it in the scissors. So yeah, it's worth having that. And that was obviously only being one hook, one barb, that's easy to get out, so that's a bonus. Well, I'll just put a fresh bit of herring on. It's a nice fresh bit, hooks in the side. I'm now going to cast it out. I'm glad I left the waders in the car now. As you can see, I don't know if you can see from here, but there's a tree down in the water. That tree there is down in the water, and I'll plonk the float about 8 foot off the end of it, 10 foot off the end of it, so hopefully that'll be, might be a pike round that, and the job's a good one. I think there might be another jack having a play. That float just dipped down again for a second and come straight back up again. I think there's a lot of these little tiny jacks in here, what a bit of a pain, but they're nice to catch. But the little tiny ones, they just keep pulling the bait and bugging about. Let's see if this one comes to anything. Well, that's a nice drift really. Wading out, casting over there, and you get a bit of a bow in your line, and the wind blowing through the bridge is pulling it right round. So you get a casting over a hell of a big area. That right hand rod just knocked down a bit, and I thought, cool, go on then, go on, and that never done nothing. And not that as, I imagine that probably was a fish just tapped at a little tiny jack, but who knows, that could have been drifting at speed and just caught a little bit of weed, and that was that, but who knows. Obviously I ain't to reel it in just yet and give it a little bit of time. That's amazing really, isn't it? I've fished the same bit of water all morning, drifting right over their heads, and then suddenly you get one. Don't make sense to it. It's a mystery. But then baits are drifting around lovely at the minute. All you've got to do is whack it on the end of his nose, and then they'll take it. Oh, my floats are starting to go down. What I think over there, I think there's a weed bed over there running out. And when I'm coming around, that's hitting the weed bed. That's then stopping, just drifting lovely all around in an arc. And then that's hitting the weed bed, and the float stopping, and that's it. So I don't really want to sit it in a little weed. Because I remember in the summer when I was fishing here with the quiver gear, the weed was quite deep and thick, straight out. So I think that's what's happening now, us getting caught in the weed, so I'm going to have to recast out both rods again. If you look at the colour of that water, as in there is none, how sheer it is, I'm surprised I'm even getting anything today. Because that is like tap water. Basically that's that high pressure. As soon as you get high pressure, that drop all the colour out of the water. Well, look, down there in about 3 foot of water, you can see my old bait. That's what the pike spat out when I was landed it. So that is unbelievable how sheer the water is. There's a couple of foot of water and no colour in it at all. And pike can count the knots, can't they? Well, I cast out again. I think you should be able to see it just there, just off that overhanging tree. Well, the baits, they move out from there, shoot out, get to a certain distance, then they start coming in towards me, and you see they end up there. So they do a big arc, and then come towards me. So hopefully we'll get another one on this drift. That'd be nice. We can all but hope, can't we? Once you get one, you get greedy, don't you? You got another one. Well, this time I stuck the rod tip under the water and wound a little bit, and that sunk 3/4 of the line. Now there's only a little tiny bow on the surface, so I slowed the drift right down to a crawl. Maybe that'll be a bit more productive. So I was going a bit quick with this breeze. Now I slowed it right down. That's lovely. As you can see, the other float is just there in front of me, and I just totally stopped. Well, that's now starting to get dark. I don't look dark on the camera, but it is in real life. See my 2 floats still out there, they're barely moved, that wind's eased up. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to call it a day now. Well, thanks for watching. Show me when you got the one. I did get a few more jacks, kept picking up the bait, but hey-oh, that's how it going. It was nice to get one. There isn't the quantity of pike in here anymore, so I can't really complain. Okay then, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, catch you later, bye.